Alright, lads, so today we're going to be ranking all Anniversary Part 1 characters. We're going to rank them from best to worst in my opinion, and my reason for ranking them can be many things. It's a purely subjective tier list. How hype was I for the characters? How well did the characters age over time? How good were they on release? All of these things are something that we are going to consider, and it's something that we did do on the channel previously, but we talked about Part 1 and 2 combined, and in that case, this is what my list did look like. My opinion since then has actually changed for the record, but when you only look at Part 1 in particular, the rankings do change quite a bit. And in fact, tomorrow, come back to the channel because we're going to do the same thing this time, ranking Part 2's characters. So with that said, in the comments below, let me know what your ranking. We are strictly talking about the characters here. Of course, if we were talking about celebrations as a whole, I wouldn't even be able to do a subjective or even objective to this because I have no idea what some of the big and bad things were from each year. You know, I can remember like 6th anniversary onwards, but like 5th, 4th and stuff, I can't remember what made some of those special besides the characters. But if you want to talk about best anniversaries overall, probably would be 9th anniversary, right? But either way, let's quickly get number 1 out the way. So first anniversary technically doesn't even have characters. Again, this is something that Kid probably didn't plan ahead of time. I don't think the game itself it was ever intended to last more than like 2 years. The fact that we've now lost a decade is absolutely crazy, and with that, the first anniversary character simply does not exist. Kind of at the point where in the trailer for the 10th anniversary, we had Frenzy Ichigo, who released after the anniversary, be like the character they chose just to highlight that year. Now, obviously, we're only talking about Part 1. Part 2 wasn't any better. They just had random characters. Global and the Japanese version had different characters at that time because Japan was a month ahead. Nowadays, of course, we're all synced up. So first anniversary just by default is at the bottom because they just didn't get any new character, at least for Part 1. After that, I'm unfortunately, and it kind of pains me to say this, but we have a lot of great characters here. But I guess in 9th place, we are going to put 4th anniversary. Now, I want to preface right from the get-go, because obviously, with the 9th anniversary releasing last year, we saw it. That was a very hated anniversary in terms of the character choicing. People do not surprisingly like canon characters. That's crazy to me. It really is. Every other game is fine releasing anniversary characters that are canon. You know, it's really cool. During an anniversary, you get a very exciting, powerful canon character from a big moment in the series that in some cases maybe defines the series. But obviously, Brave Souls is in a very unique situation where we do get original characters most of the time designed by Kubo himself. So I can kind of understand why some people don't like the idea of a canon anniversary, especially because the way the anniversaries are structured. Part 2 does include canon characters too. So in a way, you know, the best of both worlds, right? Part 1 is original characters for those that like the original stuff, and then for those that like the canon stuff, you get that in Part 2. Having said that, I like me some good canon characters. I like me original designs too, don't get me wrong. You're going to see that in this list, but I don't dislike canon anniversaries. I think they are overhated, and I feel like the backlash from last year was quite crazy. But, you know, maybe I understand it because the character choicing maybe wasn't the best. But regardless, 4th anniversary is going in 9th place, just because I feel like it could have been better. Now, I don't dislike the idea that they did 2 Ichigos, but I feel like 4th anniversary should have been Mugetsu Ichigo versus Hogaku Aizen. To this day, we've still not had a new Hogaku Aizen. And this would have been a great opportunity for that. I remember at the time, 4th anniversary, a lot of people were hoping for an anniversary Aizen, especially when paired with Ichigo. And, you know, 9, for example, is probably one of the best examples of that. I find it really cool when an anniversary, which is normally 2 characters, is focused on a particular fight, a hype fight. And that could have been the 4th anniversary. Instead, we just got 2 Ichigos. Now, I find it really cool that it is his coolest forms. You know, Mugetsu is super cool. It was the first time Mugetsu in a game was playable, right? Normally games, it makes sense, don't have Mugetsu playable. It's always Dangai, and then the Mugetsu is just a final attack. That makes sense, but Brave Souls is a MOBA game. They can do stuff like this where Mugetsu is just playable throughout the entire time. The thing is though, unfortunately, Full Hollow loved this character. He was terrible. This is the only anniversary, Part 1, to have a Brave Battle character. And this character sucked. So that is doing some heavy negative points for this particular year. Because at least every anniversary brought something either unique or at least just brought a solid character. 4th anniversary, the first anniversary to have 2 characters, to be fair, it wasted that second character because this character just sucked. He was a character designed to counter Yachiru Unohana when she was dominating Brave Battles. But at the time, we already had access to Kanfiwa Noritoro, who did that job just fine. So he was kind of dead on arrival, which is something that we never see before for anniversary characters, that we never saw after the 4th anniversary. But with that said, in 8th place, we are going to put 2nd Anniversary Ichigo. Now, 2nd Anniversary was a very exciting time for Brave Souls. This was around the time movie characters, Blood War characters were announced, so that was doing a lot of carrying it during the 2nd Anniversary Banker livestream. But also, you know, it kind of sucks that I'm putting this character too low. Maybe I'm hating on the character. I will be honest, but again, subjective list, right? And this is the character that started all. He really is the character that started all, where Anniversary were unique characters in a sense, where, you know, the next couple years were original designs by Kubo, and ever since this character, we had multiple different original forms. It was a big part and a big identity for Brave Souls, where we had original designs by Kubo himself, we had canon characters, Blood War characters, and in a way that all kickstarted during the 2nd Anniversary. The thing is though, at least for me, it's a 1-character banner, you know, later years are 2, but the 2nd Anniversary Ichigo design was very tame. I think that was probably on purpose, however. You know, later years do start to get a bit crazy with it, but 2nd Anniversary, it was kind of an original form, but at the same time, it was taken from a moment in the anime, where Ichigo at one moment in time does look like this. They kind of turned that into a character, which I think is cool. I actually like this character. He had some great visuals at the time. He was an overall very good character. But just compared to the later years, I think 2nd Anniversary is going to go in 8th place. So next up after that, we are going to have the 8th Anniversary, which in this case was True Shikai Ichigo and also White. This was a very exciting time for Brave Souls because it was the 1st anniversary after the anime officially returned. And what I love about that is that they took the opportunity to make it 1000-year Blood War focused. Now, later in the year, people didn't like that. Even during the 8th anniversary, people didn't like that. They like original characters again. But I thought it was the best idea to do a focus 1000-year Blood War anniversary because the anime just came back. In a way, the 8th anniversary was saying 1000-year Blood War is here and it's here to stay. Because after that, we started to get non-stop 1000-year Blood War, right? And the idea for the 8th anniversary was the origin of Blade, and that is why we had True Shikai Ichigo. And even then, you know, technically this is a canon character, but in a way it's also a little bit original, because Ichigo, this is right when he got his powers, and they turned that into a character. His Sobum looks really cool, by the way. It's an attack that he basically doesn't do in the anime. So maybe I'm even downplaying 8th anniversary. I think people just don't give it credit for what it actually offered. It was canon, but it was also technically original. It gave us a character that no one expected to be playable. Ichigo right when he got his powers. And then also White was playable for the first time. He was a really cool unit. But at the same time, you know, it is kind of random that White was made an anniversary character. No one ever expected that. But I don't know. I thought 8th was really cool. It was the best way to reintroduce 1000-year Blood War into the game. The problem with the 8th anniversary, though, is that the characters themselves didn't really age the best. Like, 8th Anniversary Ichigo didn't have a spiritual pressure boost. He was the first character of Frenzy Plus 3 outside of Guild Quest or Arena, for example. But he was pretty much just an auto character, a fun character that I still, again, really liked the unit, but he just didn't age the best, especially White too. He was a mind no affiliation killer, and later in that year, we received plenty of mind no affiliation killers. In fact, I think the End of Year banner hurt this banner a lot more, because End of Year was another True Shikai Ichigo. Maybe a bit too soon. Maybe End of Year should have been Full-Bring Banker Ichigo to give more emphasis on, you know, 8th Anniversary Ichigo being a true Shikai. So like 6 months later, we already had a better and cooler, in my opinion, true Shikai Ichigo. And then Yuha Bark was a Mind SP, no affiliation killer, that basically invalidated White. So I just think 8th Anniversary is being held back, at least on my list right now, just because they just didn't age at all. They were not the best anniversary characters that year by any means. Part 2 definitely did a lot of carrying for that anniversary, at least from a meta standpoint. Now after that, this one kind of breaks my heart, but I don't think I can really put it any higher than this. We have 9th Anniversary. Now again, especially with how the 10th Anniversary was handled, 9th Anniversary has been praised a lot, but that's for the celebration. At the time, if you were playing during the anniversary, man, did it suck to be hyped for this banner, because you couldn't be hyped for it. You weren't allowed to be hyped for it. People weren't allowing you to be hyped for an anniversary Grammy or Kinpachi because everyone at the time hated it. You know, 8th Anniversary, people kind of gave a pass, but again, people wanted original characters of Part 1. At the time, the, you know, popular opinion was that 9th Anniversary kind of felt like a normal end of month banner. It kind of just felt like any other Blood War banner. This banner could have been end of month August, and some people believe they kind of wasted a spot for the 9th Anniversary. anniversary. Now, in hindsight, maybe this ultimately was the best thing they could have done if they weren't going to do original characters. You know, at the time, we were just into Season 2 of 1000 Year Blood War, and Kenpachi vs. Gremmy ultimately is the biggest fight that happens in Season 2 of 1000 Year Blood War. I personally, at the time, believed it could have been Esnot and Rukia, but you know, that in of itself isn't really a fight. It's just a moment where they both get their power-ups and it's over in one attack. Kenpachi vs. Gremmy, however, was 20 minutes of straight fighting. It was a good fight too. I was excited for this fight, and I was excited for finally a new Shikai Kenpachi and also Gremmy, who I actually am a fan of. But I guess I really can't put this higher because it was a very controversial anniversary. People didn't like this as part 1. That was the biggest problem with the 9th anniversary, was that the celebration was really good. The characters, though, people just didn't like them. Having said that, though, to give 9th anniversary some praise, they are still amazing characters a year later. They finally pushed the power creep, something that we didn't see in some of the anniversaries, like 7th and 8th, for example, where, you know, part 1 was not that amazing. 9th anniversary Kenpachi and Gremmy were clearly the best characters in the game at the release, and they were so much better than any other character at that time. They also introduced EX attacks, a unique attack, and Kenpachi and Gremmy have the best variation of an EX attack. I really do want to put 9th anniversary top 3. But again, character choicing does hold it back because just compared to like any other character here, we're featuring main characters, original designs. Whereas 9th anniversary was a side character. It was Kenpachi. He's a, you know, technically he's a main character, but he is a side character, a popular one at that too. Versus Gremmy, who isn't, you know, the most popular Stamritter. But he is, you know, popular. He is cool. I don't want to downplay Gremmy. I actually really like him. But people did not like Gremmy for an anniversary. Now, after that, for me, I am going to put 7th anniversary. So for me, 7th anniversary is a very weird one. The original designs that we did get this year that year were very cool. Very cool looking, in my opinion. I actually was a big fan of the 7th anniversary. Initially, I wasn't accepting of the idea for an anniversary Oryu, I'll be honest. You know, that year in particular, it was a big push. It was either Team Rukia or Team Oryu. I was Team Rukia, clearly. Having said that, Oryu was a very fun character. One of the most fun characters released that year, and a character I still use. So that goes to show he's actually aged somewhat well for the time being, at least when you have him max transcended. Oryu was an amazingly fun unit, especially with the gauge effect. I'm happy, in a way, 7th anniversary did happen. But the designs themselves don't really do anything super unique. And in a way, unless I'm mistaken, being a bit too nitpicky here, 7th anniversary doesn't really set up anything in the future. It's kind of just original designs for the sake of it. So for example, we'll talk about that when we get to them. 3rd anniversary Okura set up beyond Resurrection. 5th anniversary Byakuya set up beyond Bankai. And technically Aizen is part of the Beyond Bankai, but regardless, 7th anniversary was kind of his own thing, didn't really do anything super crazy. The characters themselves, you know, were used quite a lot, and again, still are used, not as best in slot. But you know, for me personally, I can only really put an anniversary Ori and Ichigo so high, because they definitely are my favorite designs, and they definitely are my favorite character choicing. I still thought it was an exciting year, but 7th anniversary definitely weren't like super broken. You know, compared to 9th anniversary, part 1 was the best part of the year. They were the best characters of the year. 7th anniversary, on the other hand, not so much. Part 2, again, was much better, and people hated using anniversary Ichigo. Next up, though, we're going to put 10th anniversary. Now, 10th anniversary is kind of a hard one to rank because it is in a very unfortunate situation where the celebration itself wasn't that crazy. It was very disappointing. And as a result, that kind of impacts the characters. I mean, everyone does agree the only good thing about the 10th anniversary was the characters. Ichigo and Rukia look great. Ichigo, 10th anniversary, has my favorite song in the entire game. It is absolutely beautiful. Rukia, a character we were waiting to get an anniversary character for 10 years, finally happened. It was a very exciting time. And in my opinion, it was the perfect way to celebrate 10 years of Brave Souls, especially considering the fact that these are, again, my problem with the 7th anniversary, are Soul Ascension units. So they are kickstarting a potential new line of original units, and that's something to be excited about. Unfortunately, once more, we are currently, this is one of the biggest problems of the year, by the way, for Brave Souls. We are currently in a leak epidemic where every banner keeps getting spoiled ahead of time. Unfortunately, though, 10th anniversary was spoiled by Caleb in 3 different occasions. Sometimes when we do get leaks, we know the characters, we know the names, etc. But we knew what Ichigo and Rukia looked like before they even released. And I feel like that definitely does lessen the impact and hype these characters had. I know many people did avoid the leaks, and I saw the comments were super excited. I was excited too, but I feel like I can't put it as high as, you know, 6th, 5th, and 3rd because it got spoiled. It got leaked. I can only put it so high. I think the characters were great. I want to put it higher, but we can't do that in a situation where the characters were leaked super early by Killed themselves. It's the only anniversary out of this entire list, besides, I guess, second anniversary, to be fair, that was spoiled ahead of time. But second anniversary is different because, there was no trailer. The character itself was a surprise. A lot of people look forward to the anniversary reveals to see the reveal. Seeing it early ahead of time didn't do anyone favors. It kind of just ruined what could have been a very cool and big surprise for the Brave Souls community. After that, though, we are going to put third anniversary Aaroniero. This is what I mean when it comes to the second anniversary. The design itself wasn't really that unique. It wasn't that crazy. They definitely were keeping it tame. Third anniversary, though, it changed that. I feel like even though technically second anniversary Ichigo was the start of it all, third anniversary Aaroniero was really the start of it all when it comes to original characters in Brave Soul. This was designed by Kubo himself. It was a really cool design even to this day. I love what they did with Aaroniero and then what they did in the future with all the Beyond Resurrection of Sparta, especially as an Aaroniero fan, because we did finally get a good Aaroniero with a really cool design. The character itself, albeit, wasn't the greatest, compared to 7th, 10th, and even 9th and 8th, for example. These characters were much better at the time compared to the rest of the game versus third anniversary Aaroniero. Anniversary characters only started to become really OP around 5th anniversary. Before anniversary was just a cool character release, not really or necessarily the best character release at the time. Regardless, though, I think third anniversary Aaroniero is iconic. To me, it kind of kickstarted it all and was like the very first really unique original design. So by default, it kind of just has to be in third place. Second place, we're going to put 5th anniversary. Now, this one again is surprising, at least to me, but one of the best parts about the 5th anniversary, if you were playing at the time, is that for some reason, no one was expecting original designs. At the time, we had 2 trailers that made it very clear we were going to get a Byakuya vs Ichigo anniversary. And again, similar to Uryu, right? In a way, one of the best parts about original design anniversary characters is that if I don't really like the idea of the character being anniversary, the original design itself can sell me on that. Technically, the character can too. Maybe you didn't like the idea of an anniversary Grammy. Maybe the gameplay changed your minds. But if you don't like Grammy and you don't like what he offers, can't really do much. But for me, I wasn't a big fan of an anniversary Uryu. I wasn't the best fan of an anniversary Byakuya, at least at the time. But then when we finally got the reveal and it was original designs, it was absolutely crazy. It was a super exciting time reacting and watching the 5th anniversary trailer. Because again, for some reason, no one expected it. I love 5th anniversary Ichigo's design. I love the simplicity, again, in Byakuya's design too. It's one of my favorite Beyond Bankais. And again, once more, that kick-started the Beyond Bankai trend that we did later have as we were waiting for 1000 Jibadwa to return. And at the same time, too, something that, again, the 7th anniversary, or maybe 3rd anniversary, prior anniversaries did lack. 5th anniversary was absolutely crazy in terms of power creep. Byakuya introduced the track in Vortex. Ichigo had crazy damage output and crazy strong attacks for his time. It was something that we never saw during an anniversary, where part 1 could be really broken and be the best character in the game. After 5th anniversary, every year, you were making sure you had orbs for the anniversary. You didn't do that previously for prior anniversaries. I mean, you still save for them because, again, it was an exciting time, a cool character. From a meta standpoint, it was really only 5th anniversary onwards where, you really started to feel that these anniversary characters can be the best character in the game. With that said, though, next up we have 6th anniversary, which in my opinion is my favorite and best anniversary. And in all honesty, you might not even want to include Epic Ichigo. 6th anniversary Aizen alone can hold the title as the best anniversary to date, in my opinion, just based on the characters. But we might as well throw in Epic Ichigo. You'll notice that I didn't include the pre-anniversary characters, because technically, he's a weird one, right? 6th anniversary did have 2 characters if you include Epic Ichigo, which in my opinion, took away from an anniversary character that year. They weren't on the same banner, but 3rd anniversary, or I guess 4th anniversary onwards, every year we had 2 characters. Besides 6, but again, they released the character a week prior to sell the art book. Maybe they didn't want to put an anniversary remake into an anniversary banner, so it made sense to split them, but I do consider him an anniversary character alongside Aizen. But again, like I said, strictly Aizen's canon right now. But art book was cool. I think he was actually a very fun character. Like I said, I wasn't really a big fan of 2nd anniversary Ichigo's design. Art book Ichigo changed my mind. I thought he was a really fun unit. I think he was much cooler. And maybe if this was the original character during the 2nd anniversary Ichigo would be much higher. But regardless, Aizen by far is the peak Brave Souls moment. Like I said, during the 4th anniversary, we wanted Anniversary Aizen. During the 5th anniversary, we wanted an Anniversary Aizen. And we finally got that during the 6th anniversary. It was a very exciting time. It was such a cool reveal. And the character itself looked absolutely amazing. And even to this day, looks amazing. He had an absolutely broken strong attack kit. SA1 was a beam. SA2 was a tracking vortex. SA3 was full screen. You know, maybe nowadays that doesn't seem too crazy, but back then, he was the perfect unit. He had Frenzy +2. That was new at the time. With a tracking vortex and 2 status elements? Unheard of. What's normal now wasn't normal during 6th anniversary Aizen. So not only did we just get a cool character, a moment that we were waiting for years, the best character in the game, you know, many years can't do a solo anniversary. Like I said it at the time, no year can do a solo anniversary. 3rd anniversary, sure, that was okay. But at the time, 2 characters weren't the norm. Ever since 4th anniversary, 2 characters were the norm. The only year they can get away doing 1 anniversary character was the year they did an Anniversary Aizen. Even, you know, Ruki, for example, who I was a massive fan of, they could not do Ruki by herself. They had to include an Ichigo. Same with Uru, you had to include an Ichigo. With White, you had to include an Ichigo. Every year had to be 2 characters, but 6th anniversary easily could have just been a 1 character banner and it would have been number 1. Aizen is one of the best moments in Brave Souls history, in my opinion. And I was super excited that I was doing content at the time. So yeah, that's pretty much how I would rank part 1 of the anniversary, just based on the characters, based on my personal opinion. Again, my list will change over time. You know, 10th anniversary might go higher, might go lower. Some characters, like I said, I based on how well they aged over time. So we can't really do that about the 10th anniversary because it's only been a month or 2. But I'm pretty happy with this list. Although, again, even though it's my list and I'm allowed to be biased, I still also want to, you know, consider the community's opinion to a certain extent as I was playing at the time. I kind of want to put 8th and 9th a bit higher. Especially 9th because I think it was a lot better than we, you know, initially gave credit for. But again, at the same time, man, you just could not like that banner because no one liked the character choicing during the 9th anniversary. It's kind of like that right now for the 10th anniversary where, you know, you're not allowed to praise the characters because people just are super disappointed how the celebration was handled as a whole. You can't say anything good about Braces right now, so hopefully me putting 10th anniversary 4th place isn't too controversial. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, let me know your ranking in the comments below. Currently, I am on holiday right now, so that's why these videos are being uploaded now, not earlier, when it was maybe more relevant. Any news that we do get, I believe maybe as of me uploading this, we might have had some maintenance, maybe a new update. I'm not too sure. I can't cover everything right now, but I will be able to cover it on around the 22nd when I get back. Either way, look forward to tomorrow. We're going to do the same thing this time for part 2. Hopefully my opinion for part 2 isn't as controversial. I'll see you lads there. Take care and peace.